Alina's ordinary Tuesday took a shocking turn when her husband Victor came home early from work. He looked serious and paced the kitchen. "We need to talk," he said. "I've met someone else. She's younger, more exciting. Let's handle this like adults, no drama." Alina froze, the knife in her hand still hovering over the vegetables. She was 43, not old, but Victor spoke as if she were useless. She set the knife down and turned to face him. Victor, 46, had recently dyed his gray hair and spent more time at the gym. Now, in a fancy suit, he looked like he was going through a midlife crisis. "How long?" Alina asked. 6 months, he said proudly. "She's 28 and works in our accounting department. You'll understand when you meet her. She's special." Alina noticed how he stressed the age difference minus 15 years younger. Their own daughter was only 6 years younger than this woman. "I'll be fair," Victor continued. "You can keep the apartment. I'll move in with Masha. That's her name. We'd already found a place." Alina stared at him. The apartment they worked so hard for was now his parting gift to her. "You've planned this well," she said, keeping her voice steady. "When do I meet her?" Victor hesitated, surprised at her calmness. "She's waiting downstairs. She can come up if you want." Alina smiled. "Please do invite her in. I'd love to meet the woman worth throwing away 18 years of marriage for." Victor quickly texted, and minutes later, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Alina held her breath as the door opened. Masha walked in. She was younger, yes, but something about her was oddly familiar. Then it hit Alina. She burst into laughter, loud, uncontrollable laughter. Victor frowned. "What's so funny?" "Oh, Victor." Alina wiped her tears, still laughing. "Look at her closely. Don't you recognize her? She's Svetlana's daughter." Victor went pale. Svetlana, his old secretary, the one who tried to ruin his career with false accusations years ago. The woman Alina had helped him fight off. Masha's confident smile faded. "You know my mother." Alina smirked. "Know her? I saved Victor from her schemes, and now here you are continuing her work." Victor looked at Masha in horror. "Tell her she's wrong," he pleaded. But Masha said nothing. The clever, calculating look on her face said it all. Alina picked up her phone. "Let's call Svetlana. I'm sure she'd love to hear what her daughter is up to." Victor's face drained of color. His grand plan, his easy escape, had completely fallen apart. Alina smiled, sharp and knowing. "Shall we sit down? We have a lot to discuss." The room was silent as they sat around the dining table, the same table where they had once shared family meals and celebrations. Now it felt like a negotiation table. Masha kept glancing at her phone, looking uneasy. Victor had his head in his hands, mumbling, "Impossible." Meanwhile, Alina calmly poured tea as if nothing unusual was happening. "So Masha," Alina said, placing the teapot down, "how much do you know about your mother's past with Victor?" I don't know what you mean," Masha replied, though her shaky hands gave her away. Alina smiled and picked up her tablet. "Let me remind you, 15 years ago, your mother, Svetlana, worked as Victor's secretary. She accused him of harassment and demanded a huge payout. But what she didn't know was that I had installed security cameras in his office." Victor lifted his head in shock. "You put cameras in my office?" "Of course," Alina said smoothly. "You were too worried about your reputation to think clearly. I had to protect you." She turned back to Masha. "Your mother was very convincing, crying, ripping her blouse, making threats. But everything was caught on video." Masha's face turned pale. "You still have those recordings? And a signed confession from your mother, admitting she lied?" Alina nodded. "I kept everything. I had a feeling it might come in handy one day." Victor now stared at Masha. "So was anything real? These past 6 months?" Before Masha could answer, Alina's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and smiled. "Perfect timing. Your mother is on her way up." Masha's eyes widened in panic. "You called her?" "I texted her an hour ago," Alina said cheerfully. "Told her I had some interesting news about her daughter." The doorbell rang. Masha looked terrified. Alina got up to answer it, leaving Victor and Masha frozen in place. Svetlana entered the apartment, looking older but still carrying the same sharp energy. However, when she saw Masha, she stopped in her tracks. Masha? What are you doing here? Hello, Svetlana, Alina greeted. Please join us. We were just talking about family traditions. Mother, I can explain, Masha started, but Svetlana cut her off with a glare. Explain what? That you tried the same stupid trick that ruined my career? That got us banned from every company in the city? Svetlana turned to Alina. I swear I didn't know she was doing this. After what happened, Alina reminded her, you signed a confession and promised never to do it again. But did you ever tell your daughter about that? Victor finally spoke, his voice weak. So this was all a setup. From the beginning? Svetlana sighed. Oh, Victor, you always fall for a pretty face. Masha suddenly stood. This isn't how it was supposed to go. Alina was supposed to freak out, demand half of everything. Then we would have leverage. Alina shook her head. Another blackmail attempt. Looks like history really does repeat itself. Svetlana grabbed Masha's arm. We're leaving. And you and I, she said firmly, are going to have a long talk about making stupid choices. Before leaving, she looked at Alina with regret. I truly am sorry. I thought I had changed. I guess I didn't teach my daughter well enough. Once they were gone, the apartment fell silent. Victor sat still, staring at his untouched tea. Alina, he finally said, barely above a whisper, I've been such a fool. Yes, Alina agreed simply as she gathered the teacups. Yes, you have. But now came the real question. Whether it was a setup or not, Victor had been willing to throw away 18 years of marriage for someone younger. As she washed the cups, Alina wondered, was there anything left to save? Or had Victor broken something that could never be fixed? The next few weeks passed in a blur of awkward silences and careful conversations. Victor moved into the guest room without being asked, seeming to understand that he'd lost the right to share their marital bed. He stopped dyeing his hair, abandoned his expensive new wardrobe, and the gym membership card disappeared from his wallet. But it wasn't enough. One evening, as Alina sat in the living room reviewing work documents, Victor approached with 2 cups of tea, a peace offering that had become his nightly ritual. I've been thinking, he said, setting down her cup. About everything. About us. Alina looked up from her papers, studying the man she'd spent nearly 2 decades with. The gray was returning to his temples, and he looked older now, not because of his age, but because of the weight of his actions. I've been thinking too, she replied, accepting the tea. Remember when we first bought this apartment? We could barely afford the down payment. Victor nodded, a faint smile touching his lips. You insisted we could make it work. Said we'd eat nothing but pasta for a year if we had to. And we practically did. Alina laughed softly. But we made it work. We always made things work, Victor. Until you decided we weren't worth the effort anymore. The smile faded from his face. I know saying I'm sorry isn't enough. What I did, what I was willing to do, it's not just about Masha, Alina cut in. It's about you being ready to throw away 18 years of marriage because you felt old. Instead of talking to me, instead of working through it together, you looked for an escape route. Victor sat heavily on the couch beside her. I was scared, he admitted. Watching the gray come in, feeling less energetic, seeing younger men at work getting promoted, I convinced myself I needed to prove something. And did you? Prove anything? Yes, he said quietly. I proved I could be an absolute idiot who nearly destroyed the best thing in his life. Alina set down her tea and turned to face him fully. I'm not going to lie. Part of me wants to throw you out, file for divorce, and start fresh. But another part of me remembers the man who held my hand through 16 hours of labor, who stayed up all night helping our daughter with her science projects, who supported my career even when your mother said a wife shouldn't outshine her husband. Tears were flowing freely down Victor's cheeks now. I don't deserve another chance. No, Alina agreed, you don't. But marriage isn't about what we deserve. It's about what we're willing to fight for. She reached for her bag and pulled out 2 pieces of paper. So I made an appointment for us. Victor took the papers, reading them through watery eyes. Marriage counseling. Twice a week for the next 3 months. Consider it your last chance, Victor. We either fix this together, or we end it properly, not with some midlife crisis escape plan, but with dignity and honesty. Anything, he said immediately. I'll do anything. Good. Alina stood up, gathering her work papers. Because our first session is tomorrow morning at 9. Don't be late. 6 months later, Alina and Victor sat in the same kitchen where he'd once announced his plans to leave. But this time, they were celebrating. Their daughter was coming home for the weekend, and they were preparing her favorite meal together. You're getting flour everywhere. Alina laughed as Victor attempted to roll out dough for pelmeni. Hey, I'm learning, he protested, but his eyes sparkled with joy. Real joy, not the artificial excitement he'd displayed during his crisis. The counseling had worked wonders, helping them rebuild not just their marriage, but themselves as individuals. Victor had finally confronted his aging anxiety, while Alina learned to express her needs more openly. They'd rediscovered each other, not as the young couple they once were, but as the mature partners they'd become. As they worked together in the kitchen, their shoulders occasionally brushing, Alina realized something important. Sometimes it takes nearly losing everything to appreciate what you have. Their marriage wasn't perfect, no relationship is, but it was genuine, tested by fire and stronger for it. When their daughter arrived that evening, she found her parents dancing in the kitchen to their old wedding song, covered in flour and laughing like teenagers. She snapped a picture and posted it online with the caption, "My parents, relationship goals for 18 years and counting." Victor saw the post later and showed it to Alina with tears in his eyes. "We made it," he whispered. "Yes," she smiled, taking his hand. "We did. And this time, let's keep making it work. No more drama needed."